I don't know. Just noodle.
Just need some opening music.
Yeah, man. What do you got? Oh, wow. Yeah, it's kind of a blues vibe, right? Yeah, I like all that.
But you got to put some lyrics on it now.
Oh, yeah, I will.
This is your little opening
just keep
theme.
going. But just so you know, you spoiled me now because of the last time around. This is what happened. You were like playing us in, and now I might have you even when you're not a guest. She's here, man. Jo Ann Daugherty Part 2. Oh, her story's gonna get to you. I didn't shave, I got a little bit of a beard. I was just trying to find something that rhymes with weird. We're back. What do you got?
Why are we putting weird in there?
I just
Are you
wanted
saying I'm
to.
weird? Are you saying we're weird?
I'm saying that I hope you get weird in this talk. Look, she's back. Part 2, man. Boom. It's happening right here, right now. For all of you people that listened to part 1 of the Jo Ann Daugherty podcast, and you're probably just waiting, just biting your teeth like, oh no, I need more of that. I need to taste more of that talk. Well, boom. Lick your lips, folks.
Back.
Lick your lips, because it's about time. You're going to feast on this chat. We're going to fill your ear holes with more of Jo Ann Daugherty. Hi, man. I'm so happy that you came back.
Oh, I'm glad to be back.
I'm so happy just listening to I listened to it. I kind of told you that before we started the mics. But you remind me of why I do this, because it was fun and I couldn't wait. I've never had anybody come right back for the next episode. I couldn't wait for you to get back because I really like your story. And it just, thousands of people have heard this. And thank you, by the way, you people out there that are downloading. Thousands of people have downloaded episodes and listened, and I can only account for maybe 70, maybe 50 to be realistic that I know of.
That's
so
cool.
For all the rest of you people,
hi everybody.
Thanks, man. It's cool. It's great. In fact, I never really talk about this, but why don't you go to a chatteroffact@gmail.com and email me, or find Robbie Celestin. You can tweet me and stuff. I get random emails, but I don't talk about it enough, so I never thought about that until this very second.
Like, how'd you find out about it?
Yeah, reach out, because now I want to know who
That's
you people,
super cool.
who's downloading this. So yeah, reach out. You are listening to a Chatter of Fact. Remember, these are not interviews; they're conversations. And I've set it up, man. So she's back. You're back.
I'm back.
So if you listen to part 1, which I love, if you didn't listen to part 1, just press stop right now and go back. You don't want to listen to this right now. This is part 2, man. Seriously, you don't deserve the sex. You get back and get yourself some foreplay first. And then
the narrative arc will be so disturbed otherwise.
Right, I know. It's get your ears lubed before you get into this, because now we're in the meat of this. You understand what I'm saying? Enough innuendos, folks. Yeah, seriously. So back that thing up and listen to part 1. Even though I'm going to recap very quickly. Part 1, we basically talked about you and where you came from, your musical background. We talked about your musical training, which I freaking loved. This whole, you came from the farm, you hit like major cities, and you conquered cities, and you're great at your job, and it shows. And we talked about all of that, and then all of a sudden I started to realize it. Like when we were over an hour into it, and I was so into everything that was going on, and I started to realize, man, we haven't even touched on Broadway. This lady has been a part of major Broadway productions, but the story before that was so interesting. Your bare bones story of a jazz musician, a soul musician, an all-around musician, and leading up to that was so interesting that then I decided, and you can hear it in the last episode, oh, wait, we're going to have you back. So I was just so taken by the whole thing that I needed you to come back, because I would imagine you have some very interesting stories about getting into the Broadway scene, or if I can call it that, the touring Broadway scene, and I was not going to make you do that in 15 minutes.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a big...
You were eyeing that keyboard. What's going on in your mind? I'm looking at this keyboard
because I'm like, what could I press that would make it sound like I'm blushing? Because
are you blushing?
You can't... Well, that's all very, very generous. Those are kind things to have anyone say about you. So that's
blushing.
just, it's just...
This is a whole weird experience, isn't it?
Yeah, modesty is a thing,
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you have that.
or it's humility, humbleness.
Yeah, you are humble. And
humbleness.
And you were told in the last podcast that, boy, you're talented and beautiful. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that was nice. But that's why I'm back. Because I just kind of needed to hear it again.
Maybe have some more.
No, I'm kidding.
You're going to ask for like 7 more episodes?
I'm like, what did you say? No, it's good. It's good.
How come every time she comes on, she lays on the couch and you have to sit with a notepad while you do the podcast? No, you deserve it. I mean, I don't, you know what I can't lie about? I can't, I mean, you shouldn't lie people about anything, I guess, but I mean, I don't know. I suppose somebody's cooked something for me and I thought, no, this is really good. And it wasn't really good. But that being said, I can't seem to lie about talent, even beauty. You know, I just can't. I can't. You know, I can find a way to word around maybe the beauty thing, but I can't just say, man, you're good when you're not. I can't just say, oh, you are an awesome person when you're not. I just can't do it, you know? So none of that's for show, pal. I just think, I think you're amazing, and I'm glad you're back.
Back at you.
So let's do this up. And by the way, again, you were reminding me why I love this so much, because I'm listening to it, and at some point you said you're documenting us getting to know each other, and it's great. It's the one gift that the podcast gives back to me. I don't really listen to my own recordings when I record my songs. I mean, I do, but then I don't. Like now,
do you ever play your songs on the podcast?
Not really. You know, I intro it with a piece of a song I wrote called "The Way." And so it's a musical. It's just the song's not an instrumental, but I just take a little instrumental part of that. Besides that, I haven't done that. It's been asked. Someday I'm going to have somebody on the podcast who kind of, even though these aren't interviews, but still it's more about me getting to know somebody. Someday I'm going to have someone flip it.
Turn the tables on you.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. My brother Paul had mentioned that. Like, you know what?
That's pretty
Let's make it to where somebody else is kind of the host and we... Ooh. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Ooh. But anyway, let's get into you, man. So, but yeah, anyway, this is what gives back is once in a while, if I'm on a long plane ride or something, once in a while I'll go back in and I'll listen to a podcast episode, and it just, man, I cannot wait till 20 years pass and I can come back to these
thinking that too.
These moments of just, there's so many times that I've met great people and I sit down at a coffee shop or something and I talk to these people. And then I think when it's over, God, that was so nice. I hope I can experience that again sometime. And I've been experiencing it every podcast.
Well,
and
you're setting it up that way.
Man,
though.
It is so great to go back.
And plus, you're spiking everyone's drinks.
Totally spiking your drinks. Yeah, you have to Irish cream in the coffee.
Completely unrelated, I'm sure.
No, it's true. I get to go back in, and when I go back in, I really smile ear to ear because I'm just, wow, I just keep thinking to myself, that was a great talk. And when I get to hear it again, it just makes me laugh. And every little moment that makes me laugh or smile in the podcast makes me laugh all over again. So it's, again, people out there, thank you for downloading and listening. This is great that so many people have listened, more than I thought ever would. But if only 2 people were listening, you know, if it were just my mom, who actually hasn't really listened because she can't figure out how to hear podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
But if it were just 1 or 2 people, I would be just as thrilled.
This makes me want to record an interview with everybody in my family.
You know what? I have to throw a shout out to Kevin Smith, the director, because he has maybe 5 podcasts out now. He's found a way to monetize these because if you get the numbers big enough, you can get sponsors and you can monetize this. It's great. But he just kept waving this flag saying, you know what? It's unregulated. Get out there. Get together with your friends. Just talk about anything. And if you're passionate about it, someone's going to listen, and nobody can stop you from doing this. So just get out there and do it. And it just sounded like so much fun.
Yeah.
Some people,
awesome.
my listeners probably know I did have a background in radio. I did some radio for The Loop for a bit on the Danny Bonaducci show. But so I kind of liked the vibe, but this is just so much better than that. Talk shows, you watch Jimmy Fallon, who I think is awesome, by the way. I love the Jimmy Fallon show, but that stuff's kind of rehearsed. So you're not getting, a real interview so much as you're getting something
It's also short segments.
Yeah,
that
but I
it's
mean, they
just
get a
boom,
phone
boom,
call
boom.
the night before,
Yeah.
and it's kind of, what's the interesting story? Okay, now here's how we're going to angle it. Here's how we're gonna,
Right.
Yeah, so it's not
Well, I mean,
spontaneous.
your people called me last night too.
Yeah,
so.
they just said, listen, don't tell us what you're going to talk about. Yeah, I have people call the people before and say, we don't want to know anything until you get on the
my
mic.
people call your people.
Yeah. So, yeah, my people called your people, and they all stay on the phone, but nobody says anything. That's how it works.
Wouldn't it be great to have people handle
people.
your phone calls? I'm like, I want an intern
Yeah.
and like a wife. And like, I just want
What a
people
wife.
taking care of everything.
That would be great.
I mean, just more.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
Like you have a home and all that stuff, and I guess we never touched on that. Like as far as you're busy. How do you balance living at home before we get into the Broadway stuff? Because man, people, just hold on. We're getting into it. I cannot wait. I've talked to Broadway performers, but I've never really talked to anybody from her aspect of it in the band or conducting or musical directing, and to see the journey, how you get into that. Because where we left off, she was a very successful jobber in the city. And if you lay people, jobber, that's, somebody in a cover band who's, super successful, and you're working and you're a jobbing musician and blah, blah, blah. You're playing Jesse's Girl or maybe Celebration. In your case, in my case, we were lucky. I think we have similar paths where we got to play some cool shit.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
that's good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to hear that journey. But I guess real quick, I never really thought about that. How do you balance it? I have a tricky time because my life is, I just came off of doing 5 shows in 6 days. And that's great. That's what we all want. But I have a 7-year-old daughter. I have a family, I have a wife.
Yeah.
And that can get empty. Whoa, the peanuts are starting to.
Oh, the peanuts.
Yep. Peanuts, just so you people know. The lifestyle can get weird because, I'm so on Front Street in my shows, even the cover band shows. I talk to the crowd like crazy.
Yeah.
I try to engage if it's more of a concert setting.
Right.
And I was letting them all know at the 5th show.
Yeah.
That, oh man, you guys are my Friday night.
Yeah, you better enjoy this because you're getting the last 5%.
Yeah. And it was a Sunday show, but I let the crowd know.
And can someone scoop me into my car when we're done,
I let the crowd know it was Sunday. This is my Friday night. This is the end of my work week.
I got you. You got the
I let them know.
Your idea was like
like this.
now I'm about ready to party.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
said, and I made a thing out of it. I kind of
That's
said,
awesome.
that
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm spending my Friday with all of you people.
Exactly
There's
right.
Hundreds of people. It was a great concert in the park kind of deal.
Exactly right.
But I also kind of ranted a bit. I let them know, like, you have no idea. My entire life has been spent in 3 places. All day, because my position in my cover band, I guess I shouldn't say I'm too envious because I do have people. I have marketing people.
Yeah,
and
you do.
An office working behind me and all that. Because now, how about this? After the podcast, she does the podcast, and now her and I will be on a show together, a private show.
Oh,
so you
right
guys
on,
can,
yeah.
in
Yeah.
Vermont.
Yes.
I mean, music and the podcast.
Music and
just
the world.
Bringing people together.
It's cool.
But yeah, so I do have that to a certain extent. But anyway, as band leader, though, I'm still doing the stuff behind my computer. Okay, what's the schedule here? Okay, what am I telling the crew? When are they loading in? Where are they loading in? How does this all work? I put together a whole program for everybody to have before they get to a gig. And when you have 3 pretty major corporate gigs stacked up against each other, and then concerts, I mean, you can drown under the responsibility of having to coordinate these things. You know?
For sure.
So my weekday is spent behind the computer and on the phone facilitating that stuff. On the couch, usually. That couch right there. And I told this crowd on the Sunday, my whole life lately is 3 places, and that's it. I wake up, I sit on the couch, I'm doing the emails, I'm making the calls, blah, 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 blah. And then I get in the car, I drive to the gig, and then I get on stage, and then I do the gig, and then I get back into the car, only to go back home, sit on the same damn couch, watch a movie till I fall asleep. Then I wake up, and I'm back on the couch, car, stage.
Yeah.
That's been my life for the last week.
Well,
It's not bad, but
it's not bad because
it's rough
it could
sometimes.
it could be
couch.
It could be hotel.
Oh, that's true. That's where we're heading with you.
Yeah. I mean, not that
say
that's worse, but it's like I am currently, and it's hard to remain in this kind of state of awareness, but I am currently in a state where when I'm busy with work here, I'm extremely grateful, even when I feel like I'm snowed under, because I'm getting to play a lot of different kinds of things right now, which is super fun. Yeah, it's cool. I'm just grateful for it, and then I'm really happy that I go home and sleep in my bed at night too. That's the other thing. It's like I'm actively grateful for both of those right now. But, another month at this pace, this summer freelancing pace that all of a sudden you work kind of a reasonable amount and then you basically cram a bunch of your year's income into 3 or 4 months. Like our work is not distributed evenly throughout the year, as you know.
Right.
So it just like when it comes, you tend to take all of it, and it's, it is hard to balance. It's super hard to balance.
Yeah.
And like, I did like, and this is not a gig brag. It was awesome. I had like a string of 10 last week and like 5 days or 6 days or something.
Oh God.
Yeah, from Wednesday to Sunday, I did 10.
Jeez.
And it was, they were all weird and good and like involved learning somebody else's music for something, and it was great and super. Like I'd get home from something and I'd practice for the next day's thing, and try to just kind of keep it all up in the air and going, and that was really stimulating, but months on months of that can really wear you down. So
it gets tricky.
Yeah,
it gets tricky. Yeah,
and like that, my house isn't clean,
Right. No,
and,
that's the hard part,
And like I have piles of paperwork and.
My office
things,
is a terrible, terrible mess,
Yeah,
and
it's tricky, right?
Yeah, it's really tricky. But
I think what I really want is just a live-in accountant.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well,
it's and it's hard again if there's a family thing involved, because I feel this guilt factor because. Thank goodness. I see. I can't. When we get into it, that's where we'll talk more about the jumping from plane to plane to plane. Because right now, I'm on a plane. Less than 10% of my year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I worked hard to maintain that because I did a lot of traveling. But when I did a lot of traveling, it was a good place in my life to do the traveling.
Right.
And I've been lucky enough to where I've been to such cool places. I mean. I just went to Hawaii for the first time not long before we met, and I thought, it's all right, because I had a sweet gig in Tahiti years ago, and I like Tahiti better, So I feel
that is a completely new perspective on Hawaii.
So
it's no Tahiti.
It's not Tahiti.
It's all right.
So and that's
Tahiti.
Not a gig brag so much as it was a realization of this point in my life where. I work with some of my peers, just put me on that plane, let me go. And I've been lucky enough. I did a USO tour, so I've been to Sarajevo, I've been to Bosnia,
Wow.
So I've done, and now I haven't done more than, so many people have done way more than I have, but I've done enough to where now I feel really good. I'm so happy that Chicago is so kind to me.
Yeah.
And the neighboring areas, so that 95% of my work is in or around Chicago.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's been a dream,
That's super
But
cool.
even then, when you have a 7-year-old and you're trying to balance that, but then when she gets home, you're leaving.
Right.
Oh man. I mean, my family here is on the opposite clock. So, and I love the people at gigs. I love my bands. I love the crowds. But I'm the band leader.
Yeah.
And the crowds are great, but there's a heightened vibe they have when I meet them. It's not like I could just sit and have a beer with some of them, because most of the ones that make the effort to talk to me are really on a hyperdrive, which I love, but I can't make a meaneful
Not
little
nourishing
hang.
necessarily.
Yeah, because it's this is great. So it ends up. There's a line in the song I wrote called "Coming Home," and I haven't recorded it yet. I've been performing it, But it just, there's one quick line, they're just so crowded yet so all alone. It's a lonely life. It's a very lonely, for me, because I'm band leader. And I love my band, but I'm still the band leader, so where I can still have a drink with them or hang with them, you can easily flip that to where all of a sudden it gets to, oh, wait, but I have the boss here for a second. Let me talk. Hey, man, can we fix this? Or what can we do about that?
Right.
Who doesn't want to have their manager,
right.
at attention, sitting at a table so they can talk work.
That's so tricky.
So, it's been, anyway, you're catching me right after a run where I just feel like I've been mostly alone, yet surrounded by people, And yesterday was the best day, because yesterday I shut everything down, took my kid. It's so funny to think that I went to Navy Pier because I've been living in Chicago for 15 years.
You went to Navy Pier to
unplug?
Unplug?
My daughter loves this little tag-along bike. Like you put a little attachment to a bike and you just ride around, and she's back there pedaling too.
Oh, that's super cool.
For 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's like, go!
Oh, did you go on the bike path?
We went on the bike path. We went all over this town, and we went from Navy Pier to the museums. Almost died. By the way, anybody visiting Chicago, if you're riding a bike and you get to the museums, you get around the Shed Aquarium, which I don't know, is a mile and a half or 2 miles. I don't know. I was telling my wife, like, I think I went 3 miles the first leg, and then she did the,
like it was 800 feet. But I'm sure it was windy, honey.
I think it was like a mile and a half.
But it can be so windy there that you feel like you're riding on a treadmill. Anyway.
It got so windy, and there were two possible paths when you get to the museums. One's up a little higher up near the museum, and then one's almost just on the lake. And it's a little slanted. It's a little scary because you're on this big, giant, clunky bike for two. But my daughter says, "Take the left," and I thought, "Oh, we're taking the left." So we take the left. The wind got so bad that the water was just crashing waves onto this little slanted path.
Oh, no.
And I thought, oh, no, this isn't good. And then I'm trying to just pedal hard. Now, thank goodness it was so heavy that we didn't really budge. But from the knees down, both of us soaked.
Oh, yeah.
And then it felt like it's going to wash us off this path and right into Lake Michigan. So it stopped, and then it was great fun because then the big clunky bike got to get, I had the opportunity to carry it up many stairs.
Oh,
so
our
much
hero
fun.
saved the day.
But anyway, so that's life. But
and then I folded my cape back up and stuck it in the pocket.
And it's funny because after 3 hours of that, still the last leg, she still wanted that. All right, Daddy, as fast as we can go. For some reason,
That's
overtime
awesome.
meant go fast. She would just say, "Let's go on to overtime." I think she meant overgear, maybe. Overdrive. That sounds better. Let's go to overtime. Like, oh my God, I'm like a mill rat all of a sudden.
Sports games
I guess
going into
so. I don't
overtime.
know. Like, oh my gosh, I feel like
the
I
sports.
feel like an unfairly treated factory worker right now. It's just weird. Anyway, so that was my life. But
that's time and a half, honey.
That's you owe me. But I disconnected for that one day, and man, I can't tell you.
Oh, it's important.
I was
Super
in
important.
need. I'm tired of this. It's a great one, but yet when I gripe, everyone asks, "Well, is it time? Do you try something else?" There's nothing else.
Oh,
I don't know about
cool.
you, right?
That's cool.
There's nothing else I'd rather do than this. I mean, music is, and you can, you never know, but music, I don't know. It's still to that point when things are ringing and things are flowing just the right way. And crowd has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't care
it's that
if
experience.
Yeah.
It's
the act of doing it gets me more than the response it gets,
You go musicking.
Yes. Oh, high five me, man.
We must go a musicking.
We must go musicking. So anyway, now that
just to do it, the act of doing that
it means everything. And I have
Yeah.
so many people who say, well, you get people coming out to see you, or you get these cheers or whatever, and they just assume what.
That's nice.
It's
Because think about this. Though.
Yeah.
So, 9 times out of 10, maybe more, when I go to work, somebody claps. Right?
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective.
And a dentist or an accountant
Nobody's
is
cheering.
never going to have that experience when they go to work. Unless it's their birthday or something. God bless dentists and accountants because I need them both.
You know what? Woo!
Yay.
Way to dent.
Yeah.
And account. dent. Yeah, it's funny. I actually said something on Facebook, which I don't usually, I think twice a year I'll say something somewhat meaningful. Besides that, it's just, I ate this and I'm going to be at Soldier Field singing today. It's just promo. But I did say, like, I wonder if it's going to be weird.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah. I didn't chime in on that.
I question it because I mean, by reputation, people know me now that I totally, and this is not just because I'm a professional, I put on the same show in front of 3 people or in front of a crowd that's just not into it as I do for the 500 people or the thousands of people.
Because you care.
And I love the craft.
Yeah.
Like, I love doing it so much. And my dad, and I think I might have mentioned this on another podcast, my dad always said, you can't trust the crowd. You just can never trust them. You never know if they're going to turn on you or whatever, but you can always trust your band. You can trust who's on stage and make sure you're playing with people you enjoy playing with. Make sure you're having fun.
Some of the most brilliant advice I've ever heard.
And he said, as long as you do that, always just have fun with what's on the stage, because that is never changing. That you can control. And if you focus only on that, well, people are going to like what you're doing because it's legit, And I've done it that way forever since I was a teenager.
That's cool. Wow, what a gift to have that voice of wisdom.
Yeah,
in your life,
and it's funny, if you talk to him on Thanksgiving, he doesn't sound wise. He's my powers of digression come from him. He's the guy who my dad, who has this great, amazing vocal range. He's the guy who says, listen, we should talk about this. This is important if we're gonna. Whoa! Where is that the turkey? Are you making the turkey? All right. Well, no, just to heat it up, but we'll get out in a second. Okay. Now look, I've been thinking about buying a dog.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, he drops a nugget of wisdom. Mm-hmm. He just has this clarity moment.
Cool. That's cool.
But because of that, the
dads
people,
are cool.
Dads are cool, man. But because of that, the people who I work with kind of follow suit. And they're, all right, well, I guess we have to go big, even though nobody cares right now, or...
Yeah, that's the only way to do it.
You know what? I feel like then when you're in front of thousands of people who are screaming,
you've practiced doing what you needed to do.
Yeah. I've also seen a lot of singers, particularly, who go crazy because the crowd's going crazy, and sometimes they run out of gas.
Yeah.
It's also singers out there. It's
stamina,
conditioning.
It's chops.
Yeah, you're conditioning yourself.
Or as they say in Chicago, chaps.
Oh, now you're making me hungry.
Sorry.
But anyway, so it's a good thing, man, and I think it's important to take the crowd out of the equation, because by doing that, you're going to make them, they'll love you more, because you're not so focused on them that they're controlling you. If you're focused on the joy of doing it, then you're going to end up controlling them. And if you can't control them, if you have a weird crowd, you're still controlling the atmosphere and the vibe of your experience that evening.
And the energy that's going out.
Yeah. And it's,
at the very least.
And then you get surprised, because you could be in front of, I've been hired for like a corporate thing where everybody for some reason wanted to talk to one another, and they were off by the bar. They weren't where the band is. But you go and you do your thing, and you're having more fun because you're doing it, instead of that guy that I've worked with who looks at me and says, oh, great, well, this sucks. Nobody's paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
You're singing a song. Just sing. But anyway, all of a sudden you get off stage in a gig like that, and then some random guy or gal comes up and says, man, that was awesome. And you didn't even know they gave a shit.
Yeah.
But you put it out there.
I had this amazing, speaking of people saying nice things to one another.
Yeah.
I had this wonderful experience that reminded me what an easy gift that is to give and how important it is to give it. But I played with the saxophonist Rajiv Halim, his quartet, at the Fulton Street Collective.
Okay.
And they do some sort of, I'd done something there before that was, they do there's a series there. It's art and music and all the stuff in this space. And I played with a friend's band that we did a top to bottom, live rendering of a full album.
Cool.
And it was Max Roach, Drums Unlimited. So it was really cool. But this was like more like they had a band and it was kind of a happy hour artist gathering and kind of thing. And we played and it was like jazz, like kind of like all caps, like it was very, and there was a lot of energy going out, it was like we attacked this music, which is something I really dig about this guy, Rajiv. Like there is intention, and it is being played now, nice. Like it's wonderful. And I was like, I don't know if this is, if we're right for the space or whatnot, but like, this is what I'm a part of. And, like, I'm just kind of like taking part in it, but kind of thinking about, the thing. And we got, and the host gave a speech at the end, and he said, after Orlando, I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to have this party this night. I didn't want, I just, the life was kind of sucked out of me, and here's music, and here we are listening to people create things, and this is a very healing kind of thing.
Wow.
And then like 2 or 3 other people just came up after we played this hour and a half of like very emotive jazz that they're just like, this moved my soul. And I was like, I have to tell people when things move my soul. I cannot let that not be observed.
Isn't that great?
That's a wonderful thing to hear. And to feel if someone does move your soul, so that was a really nice experience.
I think it almost harkens back to, by putting it out there and not caring what kind of response you get. I think it's very similar to those people who, I want to find a significant other, so I'm just going to search for it. Whereas you always hear, if you don't, sometimes it just comes to you. And I think, when you're not expecting the audience to have this response and you're just doing your thing, it's so much more pleasant and organic when they do come up and appreciate.
Yeah, and really the only thing you ever have control over is what you put in.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
so
it's
that
so
makes sense to focus on that instead. So.
And because for all my talk, I don't ever want to take away from the fact that it's still wonderful when thousands of people are screaming and dancing, or when that one person just comes up and says, "Oh my gosh, you changed everything." I've cited this one lady. I've been lucky enough to have some people get affected by my songs, but there's this one lady that I'll just, she lived in Atlanta, and I never met her personally, but a song I wrote called Flow, just kind of song about getting through life or something, got her through this bout with cancer, and man,
what a beautiful thing.
And this was like way back in like MySpace days that this lady found me, but I think of her, this lady I've never met, every time I do that song.
That's amazing.
And I probably still reference that story often, not to have shtick, because it's just because it's on my mind.
Yeah, because it's cool.
On my mind,
it means something. Yeah.
Well, whoa, what a great interest. You see, that's what I love about this, though. You don't know where we're going to go, right, when we get into it.
There's no map.
I'm telling you, man, no map needed. So let's let the tide of the podcast go here, though.
Okay.
We left off on your story, and the very last thing you said in the last episode, well, not the very last thing, we'd like broke into an impromptu song, but before the impromptu song, you started to get into the Broadway thing. I said, are you getting into the Broadway thing? You said you were getting into the Broadway thing, and then I said, don't get into the Broadway thing.
Oh, right.
And I said, let's stop here. So the last thing you said was that you reached this point where you were, successful in the city, you were moving around a lot, you were, working a lot, but then you said that you started to get a little bit of an itch. You started to just wonder what else is out there, where else you go. So what happened? You're in Chicago.
Yeah. So I'm in Chicago, and you just kind of like, I don't know, I go in and out of things, I guess. And
let me ask real quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This wasn't necessarily a fiscal need. This was more.
Well, I
mean, who doesn't want more money?
Well,
but I mean,
no. This was kind of just musico-spiritual restlessness.
Ooh,
is how I would diagnose this.
You guys can't see this, but she's actually hovering in the air right now.
I levitated when I said that. Just like, well, this is what I thought I wanted to do, but like here I am doing it, and
Yeah.
I just kind of had this, I'm like, well, I should probably like go see some Broadway shows. That's another line of work. People who play instruments do that too, you know. And then
you had this wealth of experience. You knew your way around music at this point
I knew
so
how to play.
well.
I'd been gigging a long time and stuff. But
your
that's a
training
whole
and
different
your
world.
education.
Holy smokes, is that a different world?
Yeah.
Because I didn't come from any place where I had done, like, we didn't do plays in my high school or theater.
So you were never like in sort of a pit band or anything?
No.
Okay.
No, the very first time I played anything remotely resembling a show was in the hit Broadway smash Jersey Boys.
This is crazy. Okay, so all right. So when you say you went to check out, did you actually just decide?
I didn't.
Did you buy a ticket to a Broadway show?
You know what? My plan was to, like, I have some friends who are in that line of work.
Okay.
Or who do that kind of work, and I was like, well, I'll see if I can go to work with them and like sit quietly by and watch them while they do.
You did a musical Broadway ride along?
Well, I didn't.
Oh.
I was just kind of thinking I should.
Okay.
I was thinking I should, and that is what you do. That is, like, you have to you
shadow somebody.
Especially if it's a big part of just how things work. There's an extra chair usually. Just kind of or an extra station with headphones, or like there are times when there are guests in the pit with you.
Wow.
And then, when you're in a long-term pit situation in one place, we would coordinate. Like, if there was room for a guest in this room, there was only one chair. We had to know ahead of time, because
this is purely
to
come with you and just to listen to everything
and to be in the pit while the Broadway show is going on. Yeah, while the show is going on.
It's not like they're playing.
No, not to play.
They're just there. No. So it is kind of a ride along. Like, you're the cop. And
for sure. Yeah.
And this is purely an enjoyment thing?
No. Reasons one would do that would be to, here's this show, and I know it has some different piece of technology. I want to see how they're using that. Or here's this show, and I know it's different kind of music, and I want to see how it's incorporated. Like, this one only has one keyboard player. Like you would go for a variety of different reasons.
Has anyone gone for enjoyment, just to experience?
Yeah,
or is it kind of a weird...
it's not, it's not a real accessible thing for someone just to think, well, I'd just like to find out what that's like. But like friends of someone who was playing.
Can you see the action on the stage?
It all depends.
It depends.
It just depends wildly on on what it is. Like, some shows the band is in the pit, like in the actual orchestra pit, and some, like with Jersey Boys, we were not. We were in a basement, or like in Chicago, the band was in a basement, and then everything. There's a lot of technology involved in that.
Sure.
And then we would also, like, there were times when the band was on stage as well, so we would kind of move from one place to another.
There's like a good pit,
like,
and
go make the cue. They had to be upstairs by the time this guy said this thing, and and then go on stage and play the piano and whatever.
Next time you have a gig where, like, you can kind of see the action on stage, and it's a decent pit thing, and you're like touring with somebody, I'm totally like asking to be your guest, and I'm flying out.
Oh yeah, you should do it.
I want to fly out to some random city and sit next to you in the pit.
Yeah, it's a
hoot.
It's really it's weird.
It can be really
weird because, like,
I would love to experience that.
Because even just the sound of it can be weird. Because, like, in one situation I've been in, it was just the rhythm section in a room.
Yeah.
With no amplification. So if you just sat there and you didn't have anything to plug into, all you would hear is just
the clicking of the piano. Yeah.
You'd hear something that sounded like that.
That's so weird. But to me, it would be interesting when there's a decent sized pit, and a couple of violins and the horns.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why Motown was cool for that, because, like, it had a 6-piece horn section.
I didn't know that this was a possibility for random, not random, but for certain individuals who are lucky enough to have a professional reason to do it, or just to have the ability, because there'd be no professional reason for me to do it, but if you know the right person.
Oh, well, it's just it's a part of
I'm going to meet you in like, French Lick. No, I want to go somewhere cool. I want to meet you.
I'm not going anywhere.
I mean, sorry, French Lick, but I'm going to meet you in like, I don't know, one of the cool cities that I haven't been to.
Okay.
Anywhere in Colorado, because I've been wanting to go.
Oh, Colorado's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
but, all right,
I don't, yeah.
Oh, anyway, let's.
Okay.
That's a cool tidbit. I didn't know that. Oh, see, learning. The more you know. Blah, 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 blah.
Shingle.
So what did you do then? So obviously you didn't go to the Broadway plays.
No. Okay, so I was thinking, this is when I kind of, I had this experience of like, well, I'm open to doing something new. Uh-huh. And then my phone rang and someone said, do you want to do something new? And I said, well, it would be foolish not to try if this is what I've been thinking. So that's kind of how I got the job with Jersey Boys.
What? I mean, we're a major hit Broadway.
Yeah, well, because
production.
like a friend of mine had put my name in with some other people's names.
Who did you? Well, I guess you don't have to drop names if you don't want to.
No, it's cool, but yeah.
What position? Like the friend that gave you the in, what position did they have in the production?
They weren't involved with production at all. They had just done a bunch of other shows,
I see.
And people were casting
they were reputable?
about. Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, and said, "Do you know anyone with this set of circumstances that does this thing?"
Oh my God. Because I would imagine the competition could be fierce for a position like that.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
But
not for Jo Ann
No,
Daugherty.
that's not what I mean. Like it just kind of happened, Like some things just kind of happen. And the thing I take away from that was not that it was just that I was smart enough not to just say no, because it was different and unusual.
Were you a little scared?
I don't think scared as much as just like, I don't know if I'm going to like this.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if this is going to be my thing.
You weren't worried about, even though you obviously had the musical chops.
Well, I would say one always is cognizant of wanting to perform well.
Sure.
And like without knowing ahead of time what that entailed, sure, I was a little like,
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure I can do this, So yeah, and then it was fine. It was totally fine.
Let me whittle this down really quick, very quickly though. You put it out there basically. You started talking to people saying that you had an interest in it, and that's how that person knew to call you?
I opened my. That person had said, yeah, I guess maybe. This is a while ago.
Sure.
This is a while ago. So. Yeah, it was just about being open to something when the opportunity came along, and also just like showing up and like, because I had played a few gigs with this person and I had kind of floated in and out of each other's kind of radar a few times.
Okay.
And those could have been in my mind unimportant gigs, but they weren't, because I still tried to do really great at them, and as a result, we liked playing together. And start talking about music. So he did the jobbing
thing when he was in between.
Okay. And and then talking about music leads into talking about music.
Who was this person?
I don't want to.
You don't want to drop names.
I don't.
That
I don't
person
know.
was Quincy Jones.
It was.
That's fine.
It's cool. It's cool.
That person was a vocalist named Bernadette Peters. Not many people know.
Doing lots of weddings in Chicago in the mid-90s.
In Chicago when she's that's cool. Yeah. Well, that's so it just happened. That's very organic. It just kind of
happened. Yeah.
Well, that is so cool. So then,
and I really didn't know anything about shows. I didn't know the difference between upstage and downstage. I didn't know what those words meant.
Yeah.
And, stage left, and just like very simple stuff. Like I had zero theater background, so like the vocabulary and the kind of structure of the way that all is set up was foreign to me.
Well, that's interesting because I know nothing about pit work. When you're doing that, those terms, do they become important? Because are there? Yeah, I just assumed you're just following the music and there's a conductor, but I mean there are times when you need to know this happens when the person is stage left, or
yeah, that can.
How do those terms apply to your job?
If your role is to play an instrument in the pit, basically all you're worried about is instructions from the conductor.
Okay.
And the printed page. But the thing that was interesting about that pit job was that the band did go on and off the stage and become part of the play sometimes.
What production was that?
That was Jersey Boys.
That was Jersey Boys. Okay.
I feel like I'm saying the words Jersey Boys, Jersey Boys,
No,
Jersey
that's
Boys
okay.
a lot.
But this is your first intro. Jersey Boys is. I really want to focus on that because that was your first.
It was the thing.
And I saw the play, but for some reason. It's the play. It sounds funny to call it the play, but it is.
It's a play with music.
For some reason, I saw it so long ago that I'm forgetting band members on and off the stage. But there are some scenes, right?
Because the actors were oftentimes playing instruments as well. So there was this kind of fluid in and out of people and instruments, in and out of the story.
Okay.
That made it made me as an audience member not really wonder, like it was just like, oh, people playing stuff and it's about a band and people are playing stuff, like I didn't really think of like who's in the band and who's in the cast, I wasn't as a patron you're not going to think about it, ideally. But because it was involved going on stage, then I had to learn things like don't stand in anybody's way because they're going to be running off to make their next cue, and like how to like when you run up the stairs, this is exactly the same time you're going to have to yield to this one person who's coming down for a costume change that's coming down.
Were you playing piano or were you playing keyboard with multiple sounds?
That was all keyboard. That was all keyboard.
So at one point. So you were on stage during the performance. What at what point were you on the stage? Like what part of the show?
There's a scene with a piano in it, a nightclub scene with a piano in it, and then at the end of the show, the whole band joins the stage as well as the band at that point.
Crazy.
And there's a keyboard solo.
Yeah. So how'd you feel? Oh my God, that must have been insane. The first time you were on stage. I mean, the whole pit experience had to be something, and we'll get more into that. But that first time, you're a jobbing musician. You've probably been in different situations.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that was the normal part. The pit part was weird.
But was it a little weird to? I mean, not weird, but that had to be a crazy rush. Was it ever a crazy rush to be on stage in a major Broadway production?
That's why that one was super cool. Because you got to partake of that this kind of buffet of energy that's coming from the audience. And that show especially because people came because they already knew the music, as opposed to other shows where they go and they hear new songs like "Let It Go" or "Wicked" or whatever. Also super cool.
You weren't just the person behind the curtain working Oz.
Right, you
were on stage.
You get to see the happy faces and feel like they came in like with the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they're leaving like kind of transformed after 2 hours.
Did you have to get this gig? Did the word of mouth from this individual help, and that was enough, or did you have to jump through a bunch of hoops to finally get the final?
It was really weird.
Wow.
It was just really weird.
I mean, he said she can do it, and then they said okay.
They said let's.
So there's no well, let me see you run this course and see how you do. Are you just?
I had to meet some people. I had to go meet some people.
And then in that, but it's not like
it was an unusual setting. Everything about it is weird. It's not how it normally works. And I have no idea what's normal anymore anyway, but,
What was the strangest part about it? Did they have like two pianos set up? Oh, now this piano is down here. We need you to play this piece of music and then run up these stairs.
No, it was just.
No, what was just
it was just being around actors was really new to me.
That's a whole different world.
A lot, actor dancers, and this experience was cool because that company was called the Chicago Company, but we actually opened in San Francisco for 6 months. And it was they had a company in New York and a tour out, and then the Chicago company opened because it's like they just won a bunch of Tonys, and it's a period of big growth and all this stuff.
Nice.
Anyway, we started in San Francisco and then opened the show in Chicago. But before San Francisco, I went to New York for 4 or 5 weeks, I don't know, to rehearse the show. Or 3 weeks, 2 weeks, I have no idea anymore. Because I did it once as the conductor, where that was 5 weeks. And then when I went in as the band, I guess not. It's a long time ago.
So you first came in as a player.
I came in as a player and went through a rehearsal process in New York, which is kind of the first time I'd been around a ton of actors in one small space all day together.
Oh man, so you got to see that now.
Yeah, I got to see the show come together.
But that had to be the weird dynamic.
Which really
the director,
helpful.
The actor, the choreographer. I mean, that's a whole different ball of wax.
Dialect coaching, and then and then fight practice, and then choreography, and then So that was it was very eye-opening,
as opposed to like being in the in a basement or rehearsal place for like a cover band, and maybe you have to pause while the singers figure out a quick harmony. Right. This is a whole different animal.
This was a rehearsal hall on 42nd Street in Times Square.
Oh my God, that is so awesome!
Like with windows all around, and like you can see the naked cowboy down on the street. And
was that your first time in New York?
That was my first time staying there for multiple weeks in a row.
How long were you there? The first stint, or what's
that was probably. I'm going to guess 2 weeks with that. It's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
How did you take to the 2 weeks in New York? Was it overwhelming because you had to focus so much on the job that you weren't able to just...
No, the first time as a keyboard player, that the job was not really like, it was a commitment of time during the day, but that was when that was over, I was going to jam sessions and stuff. So
nice. Oh my God.
Yeah. So
and you had inside track just because of certain players. You knew or something?
I mean, I didn't do a ton of it because it was pretty crazy schedule. But
what kind of jamming did you do? You never...
I went to this place up
Le Bar de Bat. Did you ever end up there?
No. There's a place called Smoke up on the Upper West Side.
What kind of stuff were you playing? Was it jazz?
Yeah, for sure.
Dude. You had I bet you were with some hot players, like some amazingly talented.
Stuff.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago, a lot of miles ago. But so that was being around actors, and that was really cool and new, and then then learning that and this is what crew people are like, and this is what the hair department is like. There's a hair department. There's a wardrobe department.
Now you had to go through some of that where a normal pit person wouldn't, but because you were going to be
I was on stage, I had to
go through wardrobe and makeup.
I had to be through wardrobe and hair.
Well, how was that experience for you?
That was very interesting.
Because all right, so tell me this, because the prep seemed interesting enough, but I mean, once you had that dialed in, and I'm just talking as a player, not conductor. Okay, you got to walk up here. You have to tell me about that part. The part where they're directing you to be on stage. What was that like?
It was about so my track was to show up at the right time upstairs on stage left. Mm-hmm. Stand at the left side of the piano in the second wing.
What are you wearing?
A really dowdy black dress and a very frumpy wig. And I was like, I get to be on stage and I don't get to be cute.
I need to see a picture.
I'm not sure any might exist.
Oh man.
No, I'm sure a few do.
This is your mission if you choose to accept. I need a picture of that.
That would be a Throwback Thursday right there. This is not a normal thing for a pit gig, but I had to go to the there was and then when this person says that, then you push the piano as hard as you can with this other guy, and you get it to the mark, and you turn it, you flip the bench over.
Oh, you were in it, yeah.
In this very particular way. I had to practice flipping the bench over in a choreographed way. There's no ragtag grab the bench and sit down. There was and then you turn it and you set it down this way and you approach it from the left and you sit down all at once. And
was that a little nerve-wracking or not too bad?
No.
How long did it take you to
get
the turn the way they wanted the turn? It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, but that's so interesting.
But it was very specific though. Yeah.
That's because I have friends in theater, and especially the friends of I have friends who have done like major productions, but then they love doing the smaller productions because man, the small theater in Chicago is fantastic. There's so many great things.
Yeah.
But I would see like, oh, there's my friend, she's a lead in this play. Wait a minute, but now I know she's wearing all black and she's moving, the tables and the chairs.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You were in that.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I mean,
cool.
not many pit players get to experience that.
Yeah, it was an unusual part of the show. And it was really brilliant the way they wrote the band into the show, which was sweet. It was a joy to be a band member in a show like that.
Was there anything? I mean, I guess there wasn't necessarily much acting or demeanor. I mean, was there something you needed to do when you were on that stage?
I wasn't actually like lit
not
very
swinging
well,
a bag or chewing gum.
No, nothing like that. But I have had other friends who played. I had one friend who was a drummer, and he got told to smile a little less because like basically the stage was full of pretty girls,
boys?
And he was just kind of like, wow, like just kind of, and
he was happy with what he was seeing on the stage.
And they're like,
during the
you don't
performance.
really need to look that happy, I think, or something like that, which we had a laugh about, someone telling you to look. But he had a big smile, so it was, it's like, it's cool because
professional dancers are beautiful, beautiful people.
Oh yeah, actors and dancers are
you
beautiful.
Get to see
They're
all
the pretty
these
people.
Pretty people.
They're the pretty people.
Yeah.
It's a hard job to be pretty. It takes a
I
lot of work.
The first thing I was ever, because I'm not a theater guy, I've done acting, but I've done acting in film, not theater. I had one call, and oddly enough, our mutual friend, Charlie Blum, him and I had a mutual friend who was, I think, the musical director for this Broadway review he put on at his theater, the Star Plaza Theater. And one of my friends who I was in like a jazz ensemble in college with was a musical director, and she said, I got this guy, I want to bring him in.
I got a guy.
It was a review, and I was band guy, so it was weird because at that time, I was still only doing festivals and clubs. But I was very active. I dance a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But I do my own thing. I'm not necessarily like, oh, there's Robbie doing his ballet number again,
Right.
But anyway, they brought me in, and I sang Jesus Christ Superstar, which made sense because that was kind of in my wheelhouse. But they surrounded me with dancers. There must have been 20 dancers on the stage.
That'd be fun.
And what they did based on my stage show, because they said, well, you climb things and you're always jumping around and blah, blah, blah. So we're going to have this choreography all around you, and you're going to memorize what they're doing, because sometimes they're randomly on that stage, or they're leaving the stage and then they're entering, doing these crazy leaps. We're going to let you memorize where they are, and we want you to do the Robbie thing around this perfectly choreographed professional dance routine.
What a cool
It was
thing.
the coolest thing I ever experienced. But then they got cocky with me because in a good way, like they thought, well, wait, he's doing this well, and they had me do something else. Oh, they had me do a scene from Pump Boys and Dinettes, even though I'm not a country singer, but Highway 57, and then they thought, well, hey, you know what? He did pretty good in that. Let's let him be Riff, and he'll be an Officer Krupke. So suddenly I'm doing stuff just out of my wheelhouse, but I was doing, which actually,
it's fun, right?
I didn't follow Broadway very much, but I was a huge MGM musical fan.
Oh yeah.
Singing in the Rain, stuff like that's my jam. West Side Story was huge, so that was one of my favorite scenes. But it was really weird to be thrust into that world. But the first thing I remember is I was actually on radio when I got cast for this thing, so I had to learn the music on my own. I couldn't make the preliminary rehearsals because I was doing the Danny Bonaducci show on the loop, and I'm not going to throw that gig away till I absolutely had to.
Right.
So then when I showed up kind of halfway through the rehearsal process, I showed up when we were getting close to dress,
Oh, that's scary.
I walked in, and that was my first time seeing oh, wow, these are beautiful dancers. And that girl just did a split over there on the floor, and that all this stuff. It was the first time I encountered that and thought, this is really cool,
It is.
But I wasn't one of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So it's just really funny.
It's a different tribe. We
all
intersect
my time,
and overlap.
Yeah. I spent all my time when I was on that stage. Anytime we had a breather and we had to pause, I went to the pit.
You went hang out with the band.
I knew a lot of those dudes. I did some gigs with those guys, and even hanging after the fact.
Seek shelter below.
Yes, even and now some of these people, great friends of mine, the actors and stuff. They've grown up some of them were kids. That's right, from a local high school. It was great production. That great.
Cool.
But anyway, I love those people. But at the time, when I had a chance, I was the only actor that just beelined it to the band.
That's funny.
And that's who I hung out with.
And you know what the band was doing? They're all like, incoming.
Yeah.
We've got an intruder.
Well, it was lucky that, like I said, those guys had done gigs with me. So they were buddies of mine.
Yeah.
So I think they were more laughing like, look at, you're wearing a sparkly vest, man. Hey, Jesus Christ Superstar guy,
right?
But no, that's where I felt. You want to take a second?
Let's do it.
1 second pause. Here's your eye blink. Yeah. There we go. It's an eye blink for you guys, but about 7 minutes for us to just kind of chill.
Give away our secrets.
Get more coffee. Here's what I was interested in as a player. So give me the rundown now, because you had to be on stage, you had to be in the pit. So what was the day like? You showed up, how far were you from the theater? Wherever you were staying, do you remember?
Okay, so
Jump in a cab or?
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco I'd walk. And in Chicago, I would take the train.
All right. So you get to the theater.
I would get to the theater because I had costume and hair. I was supposed to be there a half hour ahead in time to do those things. A half hour before the hit. So the show's
before
at 8.
The hit.
The show's at 8. I'm supposed to be there at 7:30. I have I sit in the chair in the hair department at 7:30 or 7:35.
I don't know why, but I would have thought like much bigger time before the actual hit.
Well,
just a half hour.
Then check this. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, it's timed. Like this will take 3 minutes for her. This will take 4 minutes for this other person, and they know exactly.
Wow.
Like it's very like. Because their call is, they're different union and all these things, but they come in 90 minutes before work.
These are the makeup and hair people?
The makeup and hair people.
Okay.
Just hair people. Generally, everyone has to do their own makeup.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about the makeup heavy shows, like,
when you're...
I don't know about those.
When you're getting your makeup done, are you then in a room with the other actors?
Well,
then?
I was just hair, by the way.
Sorry,
Just hair.
yeah.
I would be in the wig room with the
actors.
With the actors in it. Yeah, it was a very enlightening, like beauty shop kind of experience for sure. And up to that point, I hadn't really been around the same group of people that much outside of high school.
Okay.
Because I, as a freelancer, would work with someone different every day of the week. And then here you're in a show where you play 8 times a week with the same people.
Yeah.
And that was the most kind of togetherness I'd encountered outside of high school, because
right.
you're captive. You're
so
captive.
you get there.
You get there. But as a musician, I think I was really only contractually obligated to show up 15 minutes before, because
I don't know why that surprises me.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It's kind of, you're right. I mean,
if I have my players on, if I'm leading a band gig, my guys are there, even if they don't have to put gear up or anything.
Now, this is like
an hour before.
What's required and what you do are different things, right? Like I would always be there way early, because
okay.
I like the idea of being late is just very uncomfortable.
But then you have those players on a professional major Broadway.
Yeah, some people show up right on time, but it could be because they stop for a cup of coffee down the street or whatever, But I mean, it's different too when you're doing it 8 times a week. If you show up a half hour early every time, or an hour early every time, you're losing a lot of hours of your life over the course of years.
Yeah.
So you when I'm in a hotel kind of situation, I know it takes me 10 minutes to walk to work because because it's close, because I chose it to be close, and I'll leave. So I get there a half hour early.
Yeah.
So. Because I like to kind of acclimate to my setting and, make sure. I think keyboards are different too, because you always want to make sure everything's working, because it's electronic and they're gremlins and, that kind of thing. But if you just have a horn, you just want to be warmed up. And
on Jersey Boys, are you, because how big was that pit?
There were 9 people in the band, or maybe 10. But we weren't all in the same room.
Yeah.
It was a lot of.
I was asking mainly
remoteness.
because I was
The
curious.
drummer was on stage the whole
entire
show.
time.
The
whole
entire show.
Wow, that's cool.
And the rest of the band was not.
So you didn't. How vast were your responsibilities as far as sounds go for the keys? Did you have to?
No, it comes all pre-programmed.
Nice.
Like,
No, but I meant. What were you covering? Were you covering like string parts?
Uh-huh.
Were you covering?
Yeah, piano parts, string parts, maybe a percussion thing here.
Really,
and
what
there,
would be the
maybe.
percussion thing? Do you recall?
I don't even.
It would just be a random clave or a random like
something that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It can depend wildly from show to show. And it's been a number of years since I played that keyboard book on that show, so I don't remember exactly.
So then, oh, that's crazy. So and the only reason I ask is because when I hear 9 as opposed to there's a string section and all that.
Yeah, the keyboard's picking up the strings most of the time.
Then you probably, I imagine, you seem meticulous about how you want to work. I'm assuming that before you got into the theater thing, you had some pretty good gear at your disposal, so you can get the best sounds and all that good stuff. But when you walk into like a professional Broadway experience, were you wowed by the gear that you had, or was it no? I've worked with this before, or was it just this kicks? This is the best string sample I've ever experienced?
No, it wasn't. I wasn't that as much as there were parts of the gear and technology that were just kind of like, whoa, who thought of that? That's amazing.
Yeah.
It was different because someone else had it's been sound designed and vetted by it's gone through a process, and then it is an immutable thing by the time it got to where I was playing it. So it didn't really matter if I knew something, if I had some thought about something like, oh, that would sound better with this. Wasn't
your recipe?
No. That would be completely irrelevant to the situation. So my job was to get there and to execute this, set of instructions.
I was curious about that.
And that involved, like playing this sound and then hitting the pedal, and then the sound would sound different for the, it's all indicated throughout your score when you switch to the next one, and you basically just go through a list of sounds over the course of a night. And
that's interesting too, because it's you work in the jobbing world, you're not going to chart what sound. Well, no, some people have some cliff notes if there's like, oh, this is my, I remember I think one of my bands, that somebody actually said like timepiece horns, like he would with the
right.
But I guess that's kind of interesting. But to have it notated in the score, all the different switches, was that
because
unique?
It was like. No, it's just
up until then.
It's just that there's no, like, you don't have to wonder how to put it together. It's just, if you play those 3 notes in that part during this part of that song, it's going to sound like strings.
Yeah.
And if I happen to be in the wrong place in what I'm playing, and it's not going to sound like strings, and it'll be obvious that something's amiss.
The sounds were all controlled by pedals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there are buttons you can go back and forth with other things, but generally both your hands are busy. So you're playing and then stomping up to the next thing. And
the reason I asked about gear was because it made me think of the it makes me think of like the sound guys I work with. Who they'll have like some great gear, and we're doing these big gigs, but then all of a sudden, we'll do Miller Park and we're doing the stadium. And then he's, the sound guy's geeking out. A buddy of mine, we call him Deuce. But anyway, he's
sound guy name, isn't it?
Yeah, he would say, "Oh man, the rig they have here, dude!" And he would just start geeking out. And I would imagine even though you had good gear and Gear's gear,
I'm going back.
Okay,
I'm going back.
So you get what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay, the thing that blew my mind was, and I had been on in-ear for a long time.
Okay.
Folks,
I started when you guys, for the lay people out there, because I use in-ear monitors all the time. When you guys see those little speakers on stage, bear with me, musical people. I'm talking to the non-musical people right now. When you see those speakers on stage, those are speakers that are facing the performers. They're called monitors, and believe it or not, even though we have these monstrous speakers facing your faces and your ears, we're behind those big speakers, so we can't hear the show. So we need some little speakers that face us. And to be honest, it's a pain because you always hear us going, check, 1, 2, and you're trying to get this balance. And it's really tricky. Well, now, in these modern times, I don't know, it's been over a decade probably that this has really become trendy, but we have in-ear monitors. So every time you see somebody with the headphones inside, these little tiny things, you see it on every awards show or live performance. Everyone's using them.
And they usually have a pack on their back and stuff where they're turning stuff up and down.
It's hearing the show, and I love it because I actually have a control on the stage so I can turn around and I make my own little in-ear monitor mix.
That was the thing and so I'd been on in-ears a long time. I've been using them since early 2000 probably.
Okay.
Late before that.
Wait, real quick, lay people. So the in-ear monitors make it so you don't need those speakers on the stage now.
Yeah.
You have your monitors, you can hear your show.
It makes it it's better on your ears, and it's just much more lower impact on your body to not just be buffeted by like this high decibel barrage all over, Okay. You can just simply get beat from behind by the drummer, or something instead,
Right. Okay, so you've used in-ears before.
I've been using those a lot, but there at the show, everybody got their own Aviom monitor system. So I'm sitting in my little spot and there's a mixer off to the left and it's got 16 channels and they're labeled things like kick drum, vocals, horns, key 1, key 2, bass, guitar, blah, 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 click, whatever, and I can turn up or down whatever I want to without talking to anyone, without asking for favors from, because you always feel like,
can I get
even
more?
When there's a monitor guy on stage, you're like, and we're like, hey, pardon me, sir.
Can I get more guitar in the
Can I have just a little more of me?
A little more of me, a little less of him. Yeah.
5% more.
You create
2% less. And you feel like, I get it, this is their gig, and I'm very thankful when there's someone to do that. But it's really hard to get just right when you're trying to communicate with someone else outside. Yeah. So this was a piece of gear that blew my mind. It was like, wow, I can make it sound just like, and you can pan it to the left and right, and
Was it an actual mixer, or was it more like an iPad type?
I know
thing?
It's the Aviom is the brand name,
okay.
and this was an older generation when I was new for the time, but that was the first time. So there was actual 16 buttons and a dial for each one, and
Beautiful.
little lights that go up, and a master, and a balance, and this and that.
It's
and now, and then you can also, this is a cool thing about it, you can save up to 16 mixes. So this part of the show, I need to hear more of this thing. And in this part of the show, the mic is so close to the right cymbal that it's just killing me, and the guitar is boosted. So for that song, I'll just hit this button and I'll have a whole different mix that's got the hi-hats up so I can really hone in on the time and the bass, but it turns everything else down so I get this tricky part right, that was the part, that was the thing I geeked on.
That is cool.
Super cool, right?
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, you can make a different mix for whatever you need.
Yeah, I think they call them scenes as well. You can say,
scene.
I've heard sound guys say, I'm going to say this scene.
Okay.
It is great. Wow, that's cool because I felt the same way once I got into this.
Yeah, once
the company
you control it yourself,
for.
right? Yeah.
I had my own little iPad off to the side, and it's Robbie's mix, and you get everything you want. In band world, the dynamics don't change enough for you to need a whole separate scene. So if anything, they'll save that mix for me so next time I show up. But the thought of you having so many different dynamic needs from scene to scene in the play that you could just press a button and
it was all ready.
Here's the drum heavy mix.
Flip off to the next one.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
And then you also would learn a lot about your buddies by what's your mix sound like? What are you listening to?
What do you have for breakfast?
if you sit down on someone else's chair for a second or something, which was it was never that informal that you would quote sit in on someone else's chair. But if you just actually just kind of swap places with someone outside of actual showtime. Or, when I was learning different keyboard books, I would be in someone else's chair. I would be next to the conductor, listen off their mix or whatever I was trying to hear. And it was I have a different mix if I'm playing a show than if I'm conducting it. Because if I'm simply playing a show, the thing, I really want to hear the bass and drums more than everything. And because I want to be a rhythm section player and really, really play it. But if I'm conducting, then I really have to have a lot more information coming in.
Okay, let's before we get, because then I want to get into the conducting side of things. But first, let me just make sure I'm not missing any nuggets here. Like I mean, overall, it's just it's such a different world. Like I mean, now we've touched on it from a technological standpoint, and even just a little bit of the day-to-day operations. You know, you don't do a wedding gig, but report to hair.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, you report to hair. Yeah. Weird, right?
I mean, the whole thing. And then was anything, does anything else like kind of scream out to you like, well, this is just totally different. Wow. I mean,
okay, because I had wardrobe, because I had costume, I didn't have to dress for work.
Wow, yeah.
You know, and they did my laundry. Because they owned the clothes.
Of course. So you show up in whatever you want.
That's right.
You go, oh, what? It's like the Wizard of Oz, like tuck, tuck here, tuck, tuck here.
I changed behind this little curtain and, you know.
How did that song go? In the wonderful land of Oz. No, you're not, no Wizard of Oz reference?
I don't know that one.
Oh, you heathen. Wow.
Well, I mean, I've seen it, but
It's been a long time.
I don't know that song.
Oh, yeah. There's a scene where they like get to Oz, and then they all go to this like fancy place, and the Scarecrow's getting restuffed, and Dorothy's getting all pretty up.
I need to watch that again.
Tuck, tuck here, tuck, tuck there. Sorry, I don't know. I'm doing that thing that I hate when people do it to me. Like they say, "Hey, do you know this song?" Oh no, I don't. Oh, but wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh,
if I sing it a little bit,
right.
You're gonna know it. Oh God, I hate that so much. So let me do it to you. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Apologies. But anyway, now I'll have to find that and you like send a YouTube video to you.
That'd be great.
But you show up and they're dressing
so that was
you
cool. Yeah.
and hairing you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would dress myself, but yeah, they would.
Oh, of course,
the clothes would be there.
Sorry, in my messed up mind, like you just like stood with your arms out.
If you're an actor and you're running from one scene to the next, that is often how it would happen. But like I was never under that kind of time constraint, so I could simply put my clothes on and then change them later.
See, I had my dumb comic book mindset or something. Like you went into a pod and then smoked.
I went to a telephone booth and
all of a sudden you would
turned the car wash on and then I was
dressed.
Yeah, it was great.
Superhero.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
I do want a cape though.
Someday
I shall have my cape. Yeah.
So you show up.
Yeah.
A half hour before. You go right in, whatever, to where the first thing you're doing is sitting down for the hair thing.
Yeah, I don't know at what point that was, but yeah.
Which took how long?
5 minutes.
Because it's mainly throwing the wig on you.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, you wear like a tight net or something under the wig.
Yeah.
And then
depending
after
on how
that,
much hair I had,
you just go to the room.
You go play a show, yeah.
Well, you go to the room and you
go to this little room in the basement. You know, like no, I would get dressed first, and then I'd do my hair, and then the show would start. You know.
Yeah. Was it just like there's just here's the locker room, here we all are, just getting our costumes on? Or did you have your own?
No, that's always great because the people are used to everyone in the band being a guy. So then they're like, well, where are we going to put this woman to change her clothes? And for a while, like in one situation, someone put me in the bathroom, but put a nice little rug down for me so I'd feel at home. And I'm like, I shall be easy to work with. I will do this. And then, a few weeks go by. I'm like, this is not working for me. We need to find something else.
Yeah.
Like I am a part of too many people's personal moments this way. So, but
okay, because you're in the bathroom, so the people have to come in.
Yeah, I'm just like, come on, like not the patron's bathroom, but like,
but still,
that was like, So I've learned over time to, it's like it's awesome to be easy to work with, and then sometimes you have to like, tell people you don't want to live in the bathroom.
I have a friend who did theater who started working in the band world. I remember her not knowing to ask the right questions because she didn't come from the band world.
Absolutely. I often did not know how to ask the right questions.
She ended up on a fly date with some group she was in. And the group was just starting out anyway, so it didn't seem like they really knew what they were doing anyway. It was like all of a sudden they all end up on the East Coast or something, but they didn't ask hard enough to make sure she had her own room, which like when I lead a band, if there's a girl on it, if I have to share a room with a dude or a couple of dudes, who cares, but I think the girl, let her have her room,
Yeah, it's very nice
so I
when
actually
people think that way.
Really
it's
hard.
Very, on behalf of everybody, let me just say thank you. Because it's very nice when that happens. And
she
it
wasn't
doesn't always
with
happen,
guys
so.
thought to ask, to care enough, and she didn't know enough to ask. And cut to like her, she had to like sleep in a bed with a bandmate, which was like fine, but I guess weird,
I guess.
Whereas then,
I guess it's weird. Yeah. I guess that's weird.
It's a little weird, right?
I mean, you don't want to people who have regular jobs aren't ever asked to sleep together, really.
Right.
Can you get together with that IT guy and like what?
We just need you guys to crash.
So, I mean, ours is an oddly intimate line of work. I get it, but it is nice when
Then you cut to like the newest girl I have on my camp who we both know, Morgan Hare. First time we had a fly date, she called me up and said, "Hey man, I've been in these situations. I am getting my own room, right? For sure, for sure." And I told her, but it's a different world. You have to be. So women out there, if just know when you're traveling and especially if you're in a local band sort of scene, you ask those questions. Just make sure you deserve it, you need it, and it's just stupid to do anything else. And whoever's hiring you should take care of that. So.
Oh, I love it.
The more you know.
I love it.
Dun 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 dun. Why am I singing that? Can't you just play the? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Check up the volume and do that again.
Was that right?
That was exactly it. Do just the I loved the just single notes and then ending with a chord, but do it without me talking. So do it.
I've got to start over again. I'm getting directed.
Yeah. The only reason I asked you to do that is because I may take that and use it for something someday. I don't know. It's just too funny. It's a funny.
Bing!
Yeah, it's a funny gag.
You need a little triangle. I'm sure there's one on here somewhere.
In case we have any more the more you know moments. Well, now you know the tune Yeah.
Okay, now I can play it again. Okay.
Well, you know what? Now, okay, hold on. So, females out there, make sure you ask and make sure that you get your own room because that's what you have to do in a band situation. The more you know.
A trademark segment of a Chatter of Fact.
So you get through that. Is it like a church and state thing? I mean, when you're in this situation, as far as socially, does it feel like, okay, here's the band, here are the actors?
It depends.
Or is everybody kind of hanging?
It depends wildly on the situation. Okay. I would say,
how was Jersey Boys?
Jersey Boys was different than most shows because the band was on the stage.
Oh, right.
So we were always kind of intermingled and, it's still kind of two camps, whatever. But especially when I was on the road with those two groups were really, I mean, it was a pretty well integrated group of people.
I don't want to jump into the other productions yet, but just this portion of it, like then when you're on any other productions like Motown or whatever, and it's you're not on the stage.
Yeah, then
is
it's
that dynamic?
it's totally different. Like because I subbed on Billy Elliot quite a bit.
Okay,
and I didn't even know what the actors looked like. I heard them dancing on top of my head, but I didn't, I might see some of them in the alley after the gig or something, but I didn't really know.
But that Thursday night,
they didn't know who I was. Wow. I didn't know who they were really.
Thursday night or after the last show of the week or something, and everyone's not going to the same pub and.
It's different from show to show.
From show to show. Okay.
Yeah, and just and the actual architecture of the show probably determines quite a bit about it, and then there's just the culture of the management and all that kind of stuff too, so.
That's interesting. I always wondered about that.
Motown was a little more separated band and cast, but it's just different.
All of a sudden, I mean, how do you go from being a chair player in Jersey Boys to being a conductor?
Well, they gave me in San Francisco. They gave me this pile of books. Here's your book. Here's this other pile of books, and one of them was the conductor book. And, ostensibly, I think so that I could play rehearsals, because that would be the same document you would look at if you were to play because they're rehearsals all the time. They're understudy rehearsals, on X day of the week, and then a vocal thing.
Even during the run of the show?
Yeah, for sure. You got to keep your understudies,
practiced
up. Yeah. And there are always people coming in and out needing to learn new parts and, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Wow. So there's no coasting once the show starts.
No. I mean, maybe for some people, but maybe for principals that don't cover any other roles. But generally, anyone that's in a role will understudy someone else, too. So it's not just a rehearsal of people who are swings, and then there are swings whose job it is, they aren't nightly on the show, but they know like 7 roles. So if any one person is out, they can cover it.
Yeah.
And they have to stay, like, I mean, they have an incredible amount of information in their head. Like, well, I sing this song and dance it as this one character, but like sometimes I have to also know the character who stands next to her's vocal lines and dance steps.
I would
and
screw
stuff.
that up
It's like
terribly.
those people are swings out in the world are amazing.
Wow,
Swings.
and they're called swings.
Broadway
I never heard that
swings, yeah, yeah, and it's kind of a career track for some people, where they're just like super versatile and.
I would imagine that. Yeah, I mean that's a different skill set than just somebody who's a lead.
Yeah, yeah, it's and it's amazing. Wow. But so what? Why are we talking about swings? You're asking me how I got started conducting. I had the rehearsal book, or with the conducting book, and then I asked my conductor, this guy Jonathan Smith, super cool, like dear friend, now, always super cool and dear friend, but at the time it was just more conductor, and. I said, well, should I learn this? And he's like, well, yeah, if you want to, yeah. And
almost making you like a backup conductor. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like, because there's a conductor and there's an associate conductor.
Okay.
And then this show had 3 keyboard parts. So I was.
What's an associate conductor?
The associate conductor. So in that show, the conductor plays keyboards. The associate conductor also plays keyboards, and there's a 3rd keyboard player. The associate conductor is also trained to conduct, and usually will conduct once a week, let's say.
Wait a minute.
So that the regular conductor can go out into the audience and watch the show and, do quality control.
Sure, but hold on, back up a second. In my mind, when I think conductor, I think of that one person. They're standing there and there's a baton. When you say there's a conductor who's playing...
Yeah. A lot of shows have, like, conductors who play piano.
So he's no longer... Then it's just working on the sheet, but there's no physical conducting.
Oh, there is. Yeah, there's a lot.
How does that happen?
I mean, sometimes you're playing... Sometimes you play... Like, you get the groove started, and it's like you don't have to conduct Dancing in the Street the whole time, That's a song that gets started playing. And I think this is much more prevalent in shows that are based on pop music than, obviously West Side Story, the guy is standing up and waving, guy or girl, man or woman. It's hard to even use the right language.
A man or a woman can conduct. There aren't any rules when it comes to that. A chatter fact, the more you know.
Da-dee-da-da.
Oh, I set you up.
You did, and I'm ready. But
I was waiting.
Yes, I wasn't over there.
We went to rehearsals. I don't have an understudy for you.
Yeah.
We're going to have to talk about your the more you know employment after this. Oh, man.
Blew it again.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's an associate conductor, and then like he has to learn the conductor's keyboard part and his, so your chair, and then you learn the other guy's chair too.
Wow.
So, but yeah, the whole time you're playing, like you're like that situation, it was full of like basically choreographed, for lack of a better term. Like, I know I will play this with my left hand. I will turn the page with my right hand. I will throw beat 3 with my right hand after I turn the page. I will then press this button to advance this other thing, and then I will play that with my right hand and cue the stage with my left hand and give the cutoff to that thing.
Wait, when you're cueing the stage, what are you cueing? What is that?
Well, okay, so in Motown, like the conductors actually, and there's a pit, and you're elevated above the pit.
So you're visible to the stage?
And the stage sees you, the audience would see the back of my head and arms or whatever, and then the cast on stage can see your hands, but there's generally 9 times out of 10 also a video camera on the conductor too, and mounted TV monitors on the balconies and stuff. So anywhere an actor looks just up, you're going to see the conductor and get the cutoff. you know, instead of having to like tilt your head up, but keep one eyeball down so you can kind of, you know, it's like you want to like, they make it very visible.
Wow.
So
it's so cool.
Yeah. So that would be if you're, you know, if you're near the stage, but it's a bunch of instructions, you know.
Somebody needs to do a documentary on that, because I would be so intrigued, especially seeing that the person who has to conduct, play keyboards, have one hand on the keys, one hand conducting, and then conducting the stage. Like, I would love to see that.
It's a really cool
in action.
It's actually really weird. It strikes me really weird that you know, I don't mean this in any kind of self-aggrandizing way, but it's weird to me that humans can learn to do things.
Yeah.
Like there's just it's a lot, and it's a lot in a row. God. You know, it's like 3 hours of just think hard, you know, and then you get done and you're like, okay, no one died. Yay.
That,
you know?
must be, I mean, that version of conducting must be so intense.
It's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally, yeah. But it's, you know, and then you learn things like, well, the stage manager is watching, you know, and like you kind of learn to like play the show as an instrument. Uh-huh. Do you see what I mean?
So you're a like character in a way.
You get to almost, I mean...
now I see.
Instead of playing the keyboard, or in addition to playing the keyboard, you're kind of playing the show.
Yeah.
That becomes it's a meta instrument, you know?
I love the way you're putting that, yeah.
And that, you know, like, you can really keep it feeling up, you know, hopefully, you know. You have a role in shaping how it feels, which would always like get its genesis in whatever the director and music director wanted. You know, it's not any time to inject like personal taste or anything in any of those things. It's all about executing someone else's vision really as beautifully as you can, you know.
It's God, very cool.
You know,
I mean,
and it's an honor to, you know, to do it, you know. It's a thrill. It's a total thrill. But sometimes it feels like driving the biggest jalopy bus with like pieces coming off like down this like little tiny narrow cobblestone street in Europe, and you're just like, I'm like, this big bus is hard to turn, you know. So, but yeah, it's cool.
Let me ask you this: like, there are times when, like, parts of, I don't know, like I mentioned, you know, parts of my job when I'm doing this big show and trying to exert all this energy, and then maybe after the fact you deal with the crowd, and then sometimes I have to deal with my band members. Oh, I need this, you know, nothing bad, but you know, all this
stuff
energy.
To do, yeah.
How do you decompress, or you just? It's weird. I can almost picture you like, okay, well, that happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like,
What do you do after that? That's intense.
That,
even when it becomes normal.
Yeah, it's a heightened normal. I'll tell you that though. It's not a normal at all. But
right. So when that's over,
you know, like, have a glass of wine, you know, nothing too crazy, you know, just, I you know.
Because the body and the mind.
I tend to want to wind down though.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people need to go blow off steam, you know.
Yeah.
And I would, you know, often, and it was hard because like when you're out, like I really want to stay connected with a lot of different kinds of music, but that schedule is such that, you know, you get done at 11:30, and then by that point, if you're in the middle of the week, most of the places with live music in, let's say, Columbus, Ohio, are probably winding down, you know.
Right.
And I saw some amazing live music, Tony Monaco in Columbus, Ohio. Amazing. And just, you know, all over the country. But I, you know, like between the fact that your ears and brain can be tired, and like I don't always want to go out after. You know, I kind of hang low a lot of times.
Yeah,
you know?
it's interesting. I'll step out, but I don't want. I'm the same way. I want to wind down.
Yeah.
I want like a nice descent.
Yeah.
I don't want to rage after a show.
Yeah. But everyone's different. Everyone's different about that.
Yeah, more power to the people who.
It's all good.
Here's the thing, folks. If you're going to come down, winding down is just fine. You can do that after a show. A chatter fact: the more you know. We got a little fancy pants at the end.
Got a little.
Oh
silliness.
Man, I'm gonna have you back just for the More You Know show.
More You Know segment.
We're just going to go an hour teaching lessons to life. That is so fascinating. So then, How did it happen? Like,
okay. So I said, so should I do this? And he's like, well, do you want to do this? And I said, yeah, I'll do that. And then he said, well,
you're live.
Okay, so let's do it in September. And I said, okay, I'll do it in September.
Oh my God.
And my conductor walked me through the book. We sat down.
Prior to this, had you ever conducted anything? And
No.
I don't mean, okay.
No.
Okay, wow.
No. But I mean,
were you excited about it? Or
yeah,
was it just,
yeah, of course. It was cool. It was super cool. And okay. So here are several reasons to be excited about it. I'm in San Francisco. The show is sold out. So, you know what, like it's grossing $1 million a week. So sold out.
Jeez.
An eighth of that is like, I don't know, $150,000. I can't do math that fast, but whatever, like something.
Yeah.
A lot of people had paid money to come to see this show.
Okay.
And, that's cool. I get to do this thing. That's cool. You won't get a rehearsal or anything.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Oh. Well.
So
Well, how is week one?
Well, I mean, no, that was time one. I just kind of
But I meant the
first time. Yeah,
just the whole week. What was that?
This is
that
what you
first slew
prepare.
Of show?
Like this taught me to prepare in a way. Like when I go talk to kids in school at the clinic, or do a clinic for the jazz students, and I'm back in Columbus, Ohio. I just did one of those not too long ago.
Nice.
Thanks, Rob Parton. And
who's Rob Parton?
Rob Parton is the director of jazz studies at Capital University in Columbus, Ohio.
Hey, Rob.
And was a great trumpet player that lived here for a long time.
Oh, cool.
Is a great trumpet player that lived here for a long time.
So you're teaching at the
anytime I'm like interacting with the kids, I'm like, okay, so like this is learning to practice is a separate, it's a skill. You kind of get to where you know something. I always kind of do this 5-step thing. I'm going to get all screwed up, but and then you kind of can know it without the music, or you can know it in front of someone that makes you nervous, and then you can play it in front of like your mom who really makes you nervous or whatever. And then like, is it bulletproof enough to go on live TV? Can you play it in front of,
Wow.
And in this case, is it like, have I prepared enough? Have I gone down every aspect of my ability to perform this, and knowing exactly what's going to come and happen in every like microsecond of this? Have I done that to the extent that I can sit in this chair and do it for the first time without a rehearsal?
My God.
And, yeah. But it takes, it's not normal.
No, because I'm even thinking like these people for the first time are seeing, as far as conducting goes, your hand gestures.
Well,
and it's got to be the same.
Oh, yeah. The cast is seeing.
But the cues.
Yeah, the cues have to be the same.
He's getting together and double checking this, or
we talked through it.
Okay,
and
but
then
just talk through it.
Yeah,
I
studied. And he was just super helpful. I don't mean to minimize his role.
When you say studied, you meant you were able to sit there.
I like every night I played the show, I was watching.
Okay,
and, I'm paying attention on a totally different level.
Tricky to take in that
you can't really take notes.
Yeah, you have to take more mental notes.
You have to take
Oh, God.
And then can I there's also this I'm used to playing this here in this spot, and I'm sitting in their chair instead. I have to play something else, because your body just goes to
right,
I'm
instinct.
I'm used to doing this particular thing here.
Is that Sherry?
Yeah, it was Sherry. And I was like, that will, I'll have Alzheimer's and still know how to play that. So,
That is good for you, man. You are so impressive. Well, let me just say.
What I would like to, I just appreciated, especially my friend Jonathan Smith's faith in me.
That was the guy.
That was a conductor
early on from the very beginning.
Well, that he was like, well, she can do this. I don't know why he knew that, but that was because he knew that, then I got to do it some.
Oh man!
And because I got to do it some, then when they put out another company later and needed someone who could do it, they asked me. So that was cool.
So then.
But that was again about not saying no when an opportunity came up.
Yeah. After Jersey Boys, what was the next production?
The next thing, after Jersey Jersey Boys. After it closed here in Chicago, I started working with Under the Street Lamp.
That was right away then.
So
your next kind of big thing after Jersey Boys was Under the Street Lamp?
Well, it wasn't real big at the time.
At the time. So guys, you guys, Michael Cuneo was a guest on here. Charlie Blum was a guest on here. So you got the Under the Street Lamp group. They were former castmates of Jersey Boys, and then I think mostly for fun, or whatever. It was a smaller thing. They started doing kind of a band. I didn't even know if they named it at the time, but they were performing the songs from the show and then some other songs, right? And they turned into a thing.
I don't know. I wasn't like from what
I've been told, that just, it was in the smaller venues, but then I
kind of came on later.
And then the idea came through, different management, and boom, now it's this big, worldwide sort of touring act with some PBS specials, and that's the group I was asked to join that I did not join, but more power to them. I think they're great.
Cool. It's cool.
But so then it was a natural transition, nice linear move. You're in the theater, you already worked with these guys.
So then it's kind of a hybrid.
So then they called you up and said, hey man.
Well, we were, I don't know, it was pretty organic.
What was your first gig with them? Where was it?
I have no idea.
But it was in a small, like, Chicago room,
It would have been in a Chicago room somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe Metropolis out at Arlington Heights or something.
So what was that?
There a lot.
I don't know that. Like, what kind of room were they doing before they really hit it? Like, just like 100 people,
300 seat theaters, like.
And they were theaters, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize
beautiful.
that.
I mean, like, and street festivals and stuff, but mostly small theaters to start.
Okay. See, I was
which
assuming...
made it a really, really nice kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to play. It's nice to do theater in a theater, but it's also nice to play music in a theater.
Yeah. I had no idea. I thought it was almost like a weird heightened upper end club thing they were doing.
I don't think so.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I don't think so.
So you get involved with them.
I did that, and then was
director?
in town. Yeah, kind of ish, off and on. Yeah.
Sure.
And then I was, living here and doing this thing, and then the tour, the Jersey Boys' second national tour, then they called me to go and be the conductor. So I went and did that. So that was they started a new company. So that was really cool to be involved with that from the ground. So that is when I went to New York for 5 weeks, and like we rehearsed this thing all the way from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like I was there for everyone's first day of school,
Nice,
it was like that kind of feeling. And that was, and then we went on the road after that, so, and that was super cool. And then I got done with that, a couple of years later, and Under the Street Lamp was getting ready to do another PBS special. So I just kind of jumped in and dove first.
Sheesh.
Head first into that after the other thing.
And then how long were you touring with them?
Probably till about a year ago.
So while you were working with them, because I know their schedule, because they were giving me their schedule, telling me what I'd be in for. Did you do a lot of other gigs in between that? Because the good thing about that schedule is
it's nice. It's in and out.
It was almost, I don't know if it was like 50 a year or something like that.
I don't know. I never had it kind of cataloged that way, but
I thought it was something that's
it was,
numbers.
It's like it's reasonable ins and outs. Like you're home. You get to live at home.
Yeah, so
and
that's
then you travel
cool.
some.
I like that.
Which that's a model I really enjoy for sure. I love traveling. It's a different. It's a different situation to do it for several years at a time. But they have it set up really nice.
So because and it was nice. It's mostly weekend or.
It could be anything, but like to me, a weekend and a weekday is the same. So,
what would you do? Would you pick up a stray gig here and there?
Yeah, I'd still be working here for sure, like jazz gigs and rock gigs and whatever. Yeah.
And then you finally left that.
Then I was accompanying like side singers, like the professional chorus up in Evanston. Like I just kind of do these other things,
awesome.
And then went out with that and yeah.
So then all of a sudden. What brings you out of Under the Street Lamp?
Just, time to do more music.
Sure.
Good stuff. All good stuff. And Motown was happening kind of at the same time. And
so how did Motown
that was
happen?
That was here. And I was a sub on the show here.
Where was it?
So it was parked here for, I don't know, months.
Okay.
It was at maybe the Oriental Theater.
So then you were
I don't know. It was one of the three theaters downtown.
Sure thing.
It was on Randolph Street.
You were...
I don't remember which one.
What was your role in that?
I was the substitute keyboard 2 person.
Okay.
So, but I got to be there a fair amount, because they...
So then how did that turn into a conducting role?
I've just remained... they have been really, really, really awesome to me. And I have remained tried to remain available to them when things are happening, and they've been out a couple of years now, so the needs arise for people to take things.
More the standing up and conducting, or is that similar to the?
That's sitting and playing.
So you're at the keys.
You're at the keys and waving your arms too.
Yeah, and you're doing the stage.
Yeah, and it's visible from the stage too. So
they're two different animals, so you can't really say what you liked more. But I mean, how did you like the? It sounds like you really enjoyed the Jersey Boys experience for more reasons than one, though. More reasons because it's also this a whole new world.
Yes, it was a whole new world.
But then you get into Motown. How was that? How'd you like that?
It was super. For people go there loving the music already.
Yeah.
And you're basically kind of you're part of the machinery that lights up their happy places. These little lights go off in people that are like, oh my gosh, this song was this for me when I was doing that. So the energy is amazing in the room. The energy in the room is amazing. And the cast is amazing, and it's been really wonderful to stay involved with that show. And so, I'm not the regular on the tour, but I go out for a week here and there, or 7 weeks here and there, whatever.
God, just kind of relationship is so great.
It's been really wonderful. And when I was out on the longer chunk this time, I was covering for the second conductor. And so, you think about when everyone's traveling forever, the show has to happen, no matter if someone's kind of sick or, things can happen, And if the second conductor's gone and there's no one to cover, so I went ahead and learned I needed to be the cover,
Sheesh.
So I became that, and they gave me the opportunity. They were super, super cool. I mean, they, asked me to, and then helped. It just made it happen.
Were these people related to the Jersey Boys production, or did you get this just by reputation?
These are not related at all. It's completely different.
So this was reputation that got you this job? Or was it another maybe friend who said, "Oh, well, you can do this"?
Yeah, it was that would be the short answer.
Yeah.
That would be the short answer.
It's so cool that you were able to go from this jobbing world to major productions. It's not like you were, I'm with this small town Music Man production that's only going to do 200 seaters across the land, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But the fact that you went right from
that was
obscurity to successful Chicago jobbing world to these are major productions. These are household names to even people who aren't theater buffs. Everybody knows about the music of Motown. Everybody knows about Jersey Boys.
Yeah.
Even, it's crazy.
Well, it was luck. I mean, not luck. Okay, so, not only luck. So there's this wonderful article by this guy Gary Burton, who he's a vibraphonist, and Gary Burton in Chick Corea, this is a jazz guy. He teaches at Berkeley and Boston, and someone handed me this amazing article by this guy, and I just kind of want to give it to everybody. And it's been years since I read it, so I'm probably going to get part of it wrong. But the gist of it was that this is not about big breaks. This is about a series of opportunities to just do things right. Then when the time comes, you might be ready to and that part is luck, but the being ready part is not,
Yeah, I mean, haven't you heard that term? What is that phrase? Luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
Oh yeah. Or opportunity is when luck meets preparation. Maybe I don't know which way it goes.
I've never heard anybody flip it before. Oh man, dude, you're freaking me out.
Whoa,
man.
yeah, because it's like,
coffees.
but I mean, it's like I have been hit by lightning, and then I have just had a Broadway show fall into my lap. So like that's like I kind of file them under the same thing. Like it was like I could have tried for years and never made that happen. People do try for years and never make it happen.
Yeah, in everything, in so many things. Yeah, but it's and I just feel extraordinarily grateful that the stars aligned the way they did. So,
good
for you for being the combination, because we live, you and I live in a business that is just, oh man. I mean, I don't know much about the medical field, but I do believe that if you really do well in medical school, there's a good chance you're going to get a good job.
Yeah.
And it's
we're told.
It's laid out pretty well for you. I think because law firms may come after that highfalutin law student who comes out of the right school with the right grades and whatever. But we live in a world where there are many overqualified people who aren't getting the gigs and aren't, so much luck has to fall into.
It's
so
true.
much
and
of what we do is right place, right time.
Where the path is never clear.
Yes, I know for a fact that the gig that I have now, so many singers want, and so many of them are more than good enough to do it, but I happen to be on the gig where the owner of the company, so much of it is right place at right time at the right time. Yeah, by the way, that's why every time I do a casino gig and people ask, oh, hey, do you gamble? And I always say, no, I'm a musician. My whole life has been a gamble.
Right? It's like
I need to pull a slot for.
I've got that fixed already.
Forget that.
This is
but it goes back to you being good enough to do the gig, though.
Well,
and that you can't whitewash that away. The luck has to happen in our line of work. It just happens. It really does. And because unfortunately in our line of work, even perseverance can fail. You could put forth the best game plan and you could really push and try, but sometimes the opportunities just don't happen. And it's a tricky scene that we've decided to put ourselves in. But good for you for being so damn good at what you do and your work ethic. And I have to tell you, I know a lot of pros, and your idea of what a work ethic should be is definitely up in like the highest tiers of people that I've met in this world. And I know
I've been accused of such.
I'm telling you, man, I know people who have done, good friends of mine who've kicked off major productions. I won't drop any names or productions because they've done great work. And these are huge Broadway productions or other aspects of the entertainment world, but I don't know. There's something different to your idea of work ethic that really astounds me, and that, in my personal opinion, for whatever that's worth, puts you above a good majority of the professionals in the high-end world that I've met.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Yes, no, it's.
You make my mother very proud.
Tell your mom that Robbie Celestin said she's doing really well.
She works hard.
And then she would say, "That's
my
great.
report card would say she works hard.
That is so great, honey. I'm so proud of you. Who the hell is Robbie Celestin?"
No, it's
it's a tribute to who you are.
It's what you do. It's what you do. You try. I mean, you got to try to we're here for we all got to figure out why we're here. But,
yeah.
Part of why I'm here is to really attack it.
But you love it, and it's you astound me, especially in your first part of this podcast run.
Oh.
You astounded me when you just talked about being a keyboardist, and I don't want to really overly repeat myself, but I'm repeating myself.
I thought you were talking about, I astounded you when I was talking about cows and horses.
No, that just intrigued me.
Okay, all right.
I couldn't say astounded. It intrigued me because you asked about why the first question was, can you milk a cow?
Yeah, I'm like, that one again.
Yeah, well, my answer to that is I think anybody can spread the chicken feed, but milking a cow, that seems like an art form. Yeah. So I wanted to know. But anyway, no, it's just, I don't know. I'm taken by what you do, and being a keyboardist. When you said you were a keyboardist who cared about the tones, as opposed to somebody being at your level of musicianship, who oftentimes, people who with your talent don't care about that aspect of being a keyboardist. I've seen it a lot. Weird. Like, oh God, this is just.
So I just went Pro Tools. I just redid my whole rig. Speaking of caring about sounds.
When I think of Pro Tools, I only think of it...
No. I said the wrong thing.
Oh, okay.
Main stage. Boy, do I sound woohoo! Yay!
Like I said, she is all over the
I'm all over the entertainment industry. I don't know what program I use.
So anyway, I
just went to a laptop-based rig.
Yeah.
That runs Main Stage. And so, like, basically, my sounds are coming out of my computer, and I'm playing them on my keyboard.
Wow.
So, so that as technology changes, I can just accumulate these songs in the computer when I've programmed them now, instead of being like, oh, well, that old keyboard has all those sounds on it from those tunes that I designed and split up this very particular way so that this one hand could do this while this other hand does the other thing. Because you lose that over time
if you buy
a new gear. Yeah. Which, and it was time for me to buy new gear.
Sure.
Because sometimes it's just time. And
that is so cool. Yeah, but I've heard that plight of the keyboardist.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, I just went through a major, programming blitz.
So from now on, everything you build sound-wise...
For pop tunes,
pop tunes,
will go in that computer.
So then...
And it will, 7 years from now, when we want to play that Loverboy song again, or, whatever it is, because I play in a lot of bands that play Loverboy. I don't even know. No, I'm joking. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of a Loverboy song now.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, but if you
so I could just have Bizarre, it again, so
Love Triangle.
Yeah, Love Bizarre, or whatever it is,
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
the gear can come and go, but
the gear can come and go, but the information would remain intact.
That's great. That's a worthwhile.
But boy, was it a lot of time, and a lot of central processing unit.
It's funny,
devoted to that task,
When we were talking about potentially getting together for your second for this talk, you sent me just a photo of a rig with computers, and you didn't even explain it. So now I know what was going on.
That's what was going on.
I thought, whoa, because you just said I'm going a little crazy. I have this, and then you just sent me this random gear photo. And I thought,
So the best part of that was, and it was awesome. So I've got a laptop on one side, and then I've got the new laptop that's running the sounds, and then I'm learning the song, and I've got it all running through my speaker.
Yeah.
And my this and that, and when the phone would ring. My phone would ring, and then my iPad would also ring, and then this computer would ring, and that computer would ring, but that computer was hooked up to my amplifier. So when anyone would text her, the phone would ring. It would all go, 5 devices would go off at once, one of which was
heavily
plugged
amplified
into my amp, And I was just so before I ever answered the phone, my reaction was what? What?
So you're giving this pinhole of focus, and you're just focusing so hard, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 just
that thing, yeah.
Oh my
but
God.
all kind of out of time.
How maddening.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, I mean, obviously I learned to turn my ringer off, but
so now you're kind of on call for emergency status for the Motown thing, but you, as of now that you've been able to take a little breather from constantly touring, now you've been at home. Just, man, it seems like you're having a ball because you're doing some jobbing stuff.
I'm doing a lot of different stuff.
You're doing the Chinola stuff, which is all original.
Yeah.
Is that the only original project you're part of right now?
Is that the only?
Are you co-writing that stuff? I know you're dealing with Nicholas Barron, who I've heard from you and others.
It's just a big mishmash of creative
You've really
energy.
been with it. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I've been playing. This last week was kind of this whirlwind of things where like I played at Bandera, which was a jazz trio gig, which was wonderful. My friend Paul Martin and my husband Ryan was playing drums, and that was just fantastic. And then the next night I played some jazz with some other guys at a hotel, and then the next day I photographed a wedding. And then the next day...
Wait.
We'll
What?
go back to that. We'll go back to that. Then the next day, there was a rehearsal for an old-time radio show, followed by a street fair in Evanston, followed by a wedding reception in Oak Brook. And the next morning was the actual old-time radio show, followed by a church service, followed by the radio show, followed by Andy's Jazz Club. And I was full.
That's great and schizophrenic.
It was
in the
very
best
schizophrenic,
way. Yeah. What was the old-time radio show?
It's this group. They do kind of live old-time radio shows out in Oak Park. Those thrilling days. I think the company is called Those Thrilling Days of Yesteryear. It will be.
Yes, really?
Yeah.
Oh God, yes.
Doing that kind of that. I love that stuff.
That is so cool.
I love that stuff. Yeah.
Did they have like Foley work going on?
No. This is a very kind of like. Yes, they have a sound effect. They have shoes and a door and the whistles and what. Yeah. They got people doing that.
What would be? Play me some. I'm coming in on the horseback. Oh, here I come. I'm riding in on horseback. You play. I'll be the horse. Ready? Go.
God.
And here I come. Oh, don't laugh.
Oh, no.
Ready? And here I come. Look, see, we gotta get. Wait, no, I switched to gangster voice.
Yeah, it depends on if the tension's building.
Yeah,
or,
not only that,
leaving the scene or coming in.
I don't know why, but when I
I
got off my horse, I wanted to do like a "How y'all doing?" and I started talking in a 40s gangster. Look, see, we gotta. This is why
Elliot knows. You're just schizophrenia.
Yeah, I guess so. This is why I would never work in old timey radio shows. God damn, and that's.
It was cool. It was cool.
Man.
It was a lot. It was just it was like this kind of crazy amount of kind of like thinking. I am thinking hard now, and it was, I felt so very blessed to have a pile of homework that was like people saying, learn this music for this thing, and so it was fun.
And you got through it.
Yeah.
So where are we headed?
I have no idea.
Okay, good, right?
I have no idea. I'm putting out a record. That's where we're headed.
Nice.
My record is gonna come out.
All right, good for you.
Yes.
That's right. I'm supposed to listen to some of these things you said and then discuss because you don't have a title. Or do you have a title since last we talked?
I think.
Yeah. What do you got?
I believe the title is going to be...
The More You Know?
Bring Joy.
Oh, nice. Oh.
Because that is what I want to do, whether I do it all the time or not. It's a good reminder to myself.
Look at you on the way to giving the world a hug with your music.
That's exactly what I want to do.
Nice.
Is here's this music. All you need to do is sit down and hang out.
Oh, I love it.
It's like, it feels good. It just feels really good. So at
all instrumental?
JoAnnDaugherty.com.
Wait, say it again.
JoAnnDaugherty.com.
Spell that last name for it. Spell it all.
I'm going to spell it all. JoAnnDaugherty.com.
So remember that the A in Daugherty is what threw me at first.
Daugherty.
Yes.
Yes, so there are a few tracks up there, but it will be released in the next few months. The timeline is being developed.
Reach out to me because at some point I'll even mention it even on another guest podcast if I can or something.
Cool.
I don't know. Well, and I'll mention on whatever.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm really big into the social media as far as
it's nice to boost your friends.
Yes, I'm big into friend boosting.
Yeah.
I love doing it.
It's just a nice thing as a human.
Yeah, yeah, it really
it's a human
is.
thing.
Yeah, so I enjoy it. I think that my fans might be tired at this point of me talking about Nicole Garza and Sarah Marie
well, then
Young.
you should talk about me.
Because but you'll get in the rotation.
It is all instrumental.
Because every time. Is it cool?
Yeah, it's all instrumental.
I'm excited, man. I want to hear it.
It's cool.
Yeah, because really, I've only heard you do our impromptu stuff. A little bit of the Western thing you just did, and The More You Know. So right now, that's
that's a small little slice.
Actually, that's not true, people. When I first met her, it was when I was flown out to Atlanta, and you did a burning solo, man, in the middle of the Jersey Boys show. I mean, under the street lamp, right? You did a burning solo.
It
was really good. I was blown away.
Wow.
So we're gonna, and then
I wonder what that was.
And you and I are going to be in Vermont.
Yeah,
and
we are.
None of the listeners will know because they won't see this. It's a private show.
Private.
Be a private dancer.
Oh, gosh. I'm not going to be your private dancer.
No, I won't be yours either.
Okay,
we'll be
good.
singing and dancing.
We'll be public dancers.
Sorry, I had a Tina Turner outburst there. It just kind of happened.
Had to be clear.
Yeah, I saw that. You got frightened for a second because you thought, wait, what did I just sign on for? You were like looking for your contract.
Yeah, right.
Oh, crap. He's private dancing? No, we're doing a private show together, but it's so awesome because we did this thing and now we're doing a show together in Vermont, which I'm just thrilled about. Well, wow.
There it is.
I mean, you top to bottom, my friend. Did you enjoy this?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I know you liked the first time around, but you never know.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's an odd. I don't often sit and talk about myself. Honestly, I don't. So that's an interesting kind of thing to see. I haven't sat down and kind of just done here's a recap of my professional experience, it's a helpful exercise, it's kind of cool.
It's just, I mean, you like everybody I've had on the mic for this thing, you're a presence that people should know. People should know somebody like you, and they should know your story because it's interesting and because you're good at what you do, but also the journey and the way you decided to pave your own way, or at least prep yourself for whatever became paved in front of you, is, I think, not only is it a good life lesson, which is funny that it's kind of you're a walking the more you know, but besides that, it's entertaining. I think your take on stuff is good. I know people as talented as you are that are quirky, and I can't talk to them. Oh. And you coin a great phrase, and you have a good heart, but you seem to really believe in what you do in all the right ways, and it's just impressive, and it shows, because that is why you're not looking for work. That is why work is...
Sometimes I'm looking for
work. That is why work, quite a bit of work is coming to you.
Here's something I wanted to, just kind of life-wise.
Lay it on me, man.
It's been a real combination of push. I want to try this very specific thing. How will I get there? Push. And then, some of the coolest things that I've ever done weren't my idea. I never really considered that I would, conduct a show, it's, was not on my list. And I'm incredibly grateful for the chance to have done so, or play in front of a lot of people, or any number of things. So, that's something I'm basically verbally reminding myself is that it's a real mixture of push and then be open and don't say no when something different comes up,
Yeah.
And that's kind of taken me interesting places. So.
Man, I have to tell you, I'm lucky when I get to meet somebody like you, because I love being able to walk through those shoes via story. I loved it. I felt like I got to, I just got to experience the documentary that is you, and so did everybody listening to this thing. And
well, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
by the way.
Yeah, no, I mean, your
thanks,
story.
fine people.
Your story was great. So I'm so glad that we have it all documented.
Yay!
This is here forever. And
next time we hang out, I'm going to bring a tape recorder. So
we'll have
I'll bring my Walkman.
Every talk we ever. Wow, there's a throwback.
Right?
I'll
bring my mini DAT.
Because this is only this. I mean, we hung out for a bit in Atlanta, but we hung out for the first time, legitimately on the podcast.
Ago, yeah.
And then this is our second time, so maybe we should just document every single time we hang out.
I think we should. Yeah, right, I'm sure it'll be fascinating to everybody. Thanks again. Yay!
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being you. Thank you for everything, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I always say, I always love everybody, especially at the end of these things, because it's such an experience. But I don't even have to tell you guys to love her. I mean, if you didn't love her after the first podcast, then this second one, you definitely fell in love with Jo Ann Daugherty.
Shucks.
Go to Jo Ann Daugherty. Go find her. Chinola has a website.
ChinolaBand.com.
CHINOLA.com. She's doing such
ChinolaBand.com.
Chinola Band. She's doing cool stuff over there.
Cool stuff there.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is her. This is Jo Ann Daugherty, and she's awesome and amazing. And I thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for making my life so much fun. The more you know. People, enjoy your day, enjoy your month, enjoy your year. Go out and find your smile.
Enjoy your life.
Bye-bye.